Hello, this is Mike. Wonder if I talk into it like this.
Hello, wonderful wonders of the internet. Get excited, get hyped. For today, we're going back to this channel's very roots. Yes, today, we're finally talking about Kirby.
Let's go.
Yes, 2.5 years ago, we looked at every single main series Kirby game and what we thought the future of the series might hold. And now, here we are, in the future. And a new Kirby game has been released. But, does it copy the series' best material? Or does it simply, suck? If you remember from last time, I wasn't too stoked about the latest Kirby release at the time. Kirby Star Allies was a good game in its own right, but the partners were a little too overbearing for me, as they solved puzzles on their own without your input, and they just kind of breezed through all the enemies and bosses without too much trouble. So after stating a slight distaste for where Kirby was currently at in his series, I looked into the potential future of what Kirby might become, and broke it into a bunch of different categories that I thought made up a Kirby game. So I thought it might be fun to look into my hopes and dreams and see which wishes were fulfilled and which were left in the dust. So first is copy abilities. Should they be in the game or not? And of course, everybody likes Kirby with copy abilities, but as a Gen 1er Kirby who really enjoyed Kirby's Dream Land on the Game Boy as one of his first video game experiences, I really think abilityless Kirby gives a nice spin of challenge on the old Kirby formula. And I was hoping it would just be some sort of side mode in this new game. And fortunately, we got something like that with one of the star challenges being Abilityless Kirby Run, where you have to go through a short 3-minute level without any abilities, which is pretty neat. But I kind of hope they bring it back to the way it was in Dreamland 2, where in the final world there really aren't any copy ability enemies, and if you lose your ability, that's it. Now you're back to Abilityless Kirby, and you have to fight your way through to get to the end of the level. Okay. Confession time, when it comes to linear or non-linear Kirby games, my favorite is the non-linear design of Kirby and the Amazing Mirror, and I basically just want Kirby and the Amazing Mirror 2 for a future Kirby game. But it's mostly because of those interconnected maps and the ability to freely explore the Kirby world and untying the knot of the world in the process. I mean, can you tell I'm a Metroidvania fan? And unfortunately, this Kirby game wasn't the massive open world that everyone thought it might be, but it still had some amazing moments of promise that got me really excited. Like the mall level where you have to explore the mall and try not to get lost using an in-game map that you find in the mall. Or the frozen city level where you can weave your way into alleys or jump outside what looks to be the level's boundary to find secrets. And lastly, there's this open-ended kind of desert level where you start in this openish area where you can kind of go wherever you want, or so it feels. But these are just kind of glimpses into the 3D Kirby future, and I can't wait to see what they do next. Which leads us right into 2D or 3D, which I think you already know the answer to. I have no idea what I was thinking back then, saying I wanted a 2.5D Kirby game over a 3D Kirby game. I guess I just wasn't trying to get my hopes up because I didn't think Nintendo had it in them to make a 3D Kirby game. Because Kirby 3D games are like some of my favorite games ever. Kirby Blood Blast was, alright, I played it this year, but Kirby Air Ride, my guy? That's like one of the best games ever! But you know, if we had to have a 2D game, I wouldn't mind a Kirby's Amazing Mirror 2 in glorious pixel art. Come on, Nintendo, we need more pixel art games. There's not enough of them on the market. Please, they're so good enough. When it comes to collectibles, I think most people agree that the best kind of collectibles are the ones that give you a sense of progression, which makes these ability scrolls perfect as they upgrade your abilities and make Kirby stronger for the fight ahead. And make it easier to come back and beat those bosses on those damageless runs. Thank goodness. But I'm not quite as keen on the Waddle Dees. While I do like finding them in these new 3D environments and I enjoy building up the town and unlocking boss fights, I like the way older Kirby does it, where when you collect a bunch of items, it unlocks a true ending or true final boss, as it may be. It's just much more rewarding to me and a little more exciting. Where this game's true ending, you have to go through a bunch of levels to collect pieces of Leon's soul, and it's just kind of tedious and slow, and I kind of thought it was the weakest part of the game in my opinion. It would have been much cooler if we could have teamed up with all the Waddle Dees we collected in order to get these soul pieces, and as you went through the levels, the Waddle Dees were throwing you things to help you out, and you were just like a team to take down this final gauntlet of levels. That would have been really cool to just see them integrated into the gameplay a little bit more. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I remember a bunch of Waddle Dees being trapped in Lab Discoverer running around in these little hamster wheel things. And as far as I remember, they never got saved. So can we get an F in chat for my Waddle Dee buddies? Oh, sorry, forgot. I'm not live right now. Or am I? Next, we're on to multiplayer. And surprising no one, I wanted the multiplayer to be just like Amazing Mirrors co-op. And instead of being tied to your Game Boy Advance, obviously you'd just be tied to your own Switch now. And you could use online capabilities to connect with everyone. And for local co-op, you could just use like split screen or something. It'd be great, and every Kirby would be able to freely explore the land on their own. But yeah, obviously that didn't happen. So instead we got 2-player co-op, so not even 4 players, and the partner character doesn't even get to choose what ability they have. They're just stuck being Waddle Dee. So they have one ability for the whole game. And I've heard that it does upgrade at some point when you upgrade Kirby far enough, but that's still just kind of a consolation prize to such a downgrade. And I know the reason they don't want to have 4 Kirbys is because of story reasons and to mess with the lore, but I mean, come on, Nintendo. I'm not gonna tell anyone, you don't have to tell anyone, we can just keep this between us. Just give us the 4-player Kirby co-op that everybody wants. Everyone can have cop abilities, and it'll just be a fantastic time for all. Alright, this might be a little controversial, but I just think Kirby's a little slow nowadays, and I wish you could just speed him up a little bit. Or you could just give us back the wheel power-up. I miss him so much. Ah yes, and back then I said that dodge rolling and blocking were way too overpowered and should just be removed from Kirby entirely, and now I have to eat those words because it is so much better in this game. They added like a slow-mo dodge when you perfectly time your dodge, and you're able to follow up with a strong counterattack to boot. It's just like another great combat system from a video game that I love. I gotta say, the game's bosses and fighting mechanics in this game are the best they've ever been in any Kirby game. It's a 10 out of 10 from me. So I was kinda hoping that we'd get another Meta Knight-centric story this time around, but instead we just ended up getting the villain of the week flavor of the ultimate life form, who is not that guy, but that would have been really cool and ridiculous, and you probably would have heard about it already if it was. So, but maybe next time, who knows? I don't know. What it boils down to, and story spoilers, by the way, for the one of you out there that doesn't want Kirby story spoilers, I got you covered. Essentially, the bad guy invades this land, which is soon to be the Forgotten Land, but not quite yet, and he takes over and starts controlling things, but the locals rebel and capture him, and then use his warp abilities to warp to Dreamland, but at the same time, or some other time, he explodes into 2 different pieces, and there's a destruction at Lab Discoverer. I'm not sure when those 2 happen. I'm also not sure who these locals are because they're in Dreamland, so they could look like this, they could look like this. I don't really know. Game doesn't explain it. I don't really care to dig any deeper, and yeah, it's kind of just meh overall in my book. All right, it's time for the hodgepodge of whatever I couldn't fit into other categories goes into this one right here. And the first thing on the docket is copy abilities. I just love them so much from Kirby 64, I want them to return in like any form possible. But we didn't get copy abilities in this game, but we did get something else that was quite incredible, and that's upgradable abilities. Yes, now you can collect these little star tokens and upgrade your abilities permanently to make them stronger and give you that sense of progression that no other Kirby game has. And I think these are pretty fantastic in my book, and a well worth addition, and worth looking past the nostalgia this time, just to enjoy these amazing new upgradable abilities. Oh, and I suppose I should mention Mouthful Mode, because you know, it's like, I don't know, the main selling point of this game apparently, other than the game being 3D. And it's pretty good. It offers a nice variety of gameplay when you get the car or the glider, but like the ring and the light bulb and cone are just kind of like glorified copy abilities in my mind and aren't really all too interesting to me. So I wouldn't be too sad if they didn't appear in the next game, but they're a fun mix-up every once in a while in Kirby's Forgotten Land. So yeah, Kirby in the Forgotten Land is not the Kirby's Amazing Mirror 2 that I've been dreaming about for years, but it is a pretty gosh darn good game and a great step forward for the Kirby series into the new 3D realm. And I'd for sure check it out if you're looking for a nice laid-back adventure. And I'm really excited to see where the devs will go from here for the next Kirby adventure. I feel like they're just dipping their toes into the 3D world, and next time, they're just gonna blow the doors wide open and go crazy. But 3D Kirby really only makes me think of one thing, and that's that Kirby Air Ride might see the light of day once again, please. Or maybe even a sequel, heaven forbid. But while we wait for that, I think it's time to enter another nightmarish game. Next time. Hello, hanger-arounders of the end credits. I just wanted to say that we finally reached 100 subs. Let's go! And I'm just ecstatic that 100 people are even willing to watch these videos, let alone subscribe to this channel. So you guys are amazing for that. I hope you like this little trip back down memory lane to the first video I've ever posted. And if you haven't seen it, maybe go check it out. I think it's okay. It's not great, it's kind of old, but you know. And I also plan on doing this for Metroid Dread, so if you want to see that, comment down below and I'll be sure to get to that soon. But until then, thank you guys for watching and I will see you later.